Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. This is my channel, and here we talk about a little bit of everything, but in this video I'm going to be talking about my second trimester of pregnancy. Just a pretty well-rounded wrap up as far as symptoms and everything that I dealt with in my second trimester of pregnancy. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out my first trimester video. There I give a lot of information about, what it is that I dealt with in my first trimester as far as symptoms, the emotional, physical, all of that good stuff. Well, before we go ahead and get into this video, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. So off rip, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Second trimester pregnancy, absolutely 100% better than my first trimester of pregnancy. And I'm gonna say this, and I don't care who gets offended, I hated my first trimester of pregnancy. I really did. I was miserable, to put it lightly. So I definitely did a complete 180 when it came to the way that I felt physically, mentally, and emotionally in my second trimester of pregnancy. Now, I will say it's not something that is like immediate. I didn't just wake up, my first day of the second trimester like, wow, I feel brand new. But it was definitely a gradual effect over a course of about 2 weeks where I just started to feel better overall. And then once I was, really into my second trimester, it was like, okay, I can do this pregnancy thing. I really can do this, So my first trimester of pregnancy, I dealt with a lot of emotional things, and it was it was a lot to handle. I will say in my second trimester, I think my body just got used to the influx of hormones. So it kind of just began to level me out. And so I didn't feel as, I didn't feel as stressed and emotional. I was able to kind of regulate those emotions a lot better. So off rip, that was something that I noticed, and I was happier to say the least. I was literally just happier. I think also a lot of the stress for me personally kind of trickled off and changed, because I think in my first trimester of pregnancy, I was kind of just wanting the pregnancy to be successful. And so once I'm in the second trimester of pregnancy, you're typically considered to be in the safe zone. So it was kind of like a big sigh of relief, like, okay, I made it past that critical point in time, so I should be good. And for the most part, people who make it in their second trimester of pregnancy, like I said, for the most part should have a pretty successful pregnancy throughout. So a lot of that kind of like worry and stress honestly just kind of dissipated, and I was able to kind of then more so focus on just, oh, I'm pregnant. let's do this, and like, oh, all these other things, all these other cool things. So yeah. Also, my second trimester is when I decided to publicly share the news of my pregnancy. And, that was something that I did consciously wait to do. I wanted to share my journey and my pregnancy with the world, because that's just the type of person I am. I love, this is what I do. I'm a YouTuber, so it's like, that's just what we do. We share our business. But I did want to be sure that I was at a more comfortable state within my pregnancy. I wasn't in such a vulnerable state, and I felt like in my first trimester I was very vulnerable. And I was also having a very viable pregnancy at that point, to be honest with you. And so that's how I determined when I wanted to, publicly share the news. And if you haven't seen how I shared the news, I did a cute little video. Just check out my Instagram, and make sure y'all follow me on Instagram as well, because I be posting really cute pictures, and there's a lot going on my Instagram. So just go ahead and check that out. So second trimester pregnancy, what goes on? Why is it so different? How is it different than the first trimester? Beyond what I said before, as far as the emotional aspect of it, as far as the influx of hormones drastically changing, I will say physically, you definitely see things change. So for me, that's when I really started to show, and I really started to get a belly on me. And so it's one of those things where it's like you're waiting to finally see like proof that you're pregnant, And so I finally started to have a little bit of a belly bump, and clothes started to get a little tighter, but I was still able to really fit into most of the clothes that I own. So it was no real necessity for what do they call them? Not prenatal clothes, maternity clothes. It was not a real need for maternity clothes just yet, but I did notice that things were snug. Things were starting to not fit. It was all right. Maybe I need to start thinking about, think about this in the future. So that's something that's really dope for me in the second trimester. Finally being able to see belly bump and knowing that that baby is indeed growing. Another thing I was really looking forward to within my second trimester of pregnancy, which I'm sure all mamas are looking forward to, was movement. I began to feel movement in my second trimester, and I don't know, it's just one of those things, like, you're pregnant, it's been verified multiple times, but you can't fathom it yet. You can't conceptualize it yet because you're not showing, you don't feel any movement, and that's kind of like that weird kind of confusion within your first trimester. But once you're in your second trimester and you actually start showing, and then you start feeling those flutters, it gets real. You're like, okay, so there's definitely something in here. Like, there's definitely something going on in here. And then, it was very shocking. Like, I would be walking and I would feel like a flutter, and I'll go like, it would just, I don't know, it was just very exciting because I always wanted to know what it felt like to have a baby kicking you, right? I've always wanted to know exactly what that feels like, because people describe it to you all the time, and I can describe it to you for you, but you just will never really know until you feel it, because it's so something I've never felt before. Some people describe it as like, feels like you have gas. I don't think it feels like you have gas. It feels like something's moving in your stomach. Like, the first movements I felt were like like literally like flutters, but it's like, it's so startling and so sudden and so distinct that it's nothing yet you've ever felt before. And then I started to feel actual movements, like not necessarily kicks, but then it started to change, like the baby was actually like turning, and I could feel that. And that feels like an octopus is typically how I describe it. There's like an octopus within me. Yeah, weird, very weird. With finally showing, comes a change in your body. I kind of spoke to that in my first trimester video a little bit, but your body, well, I'll speak for me, my body really changed second trimester. I mean, drastically, to the point where I'm like, like, who that? Like, it's weird because you're pregnant, you're showing, and so obviously it makes sense for you to have a stomach. And for some reason, the way I view myself fully clothed is completely different than the way I view myself like naked. And I don't know if that's just me or if that's like a lot of other pregnant women, but I have difficulty looking at myself and recognizing myself when I'm naked. And it's not, and it's nothing like sexual or anything in that manner. So like, don't get weird on me. But it's just, I've grown used to my body looking a certain way, and then it's like overnight, it's a completely different body, and it's just kind of strange almost to look at in the mirror like, and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily super self-conscious. Well, I mean, I am a little bit super self-conscious about it, but more so just literally shook at how I look, like, and I just kind of stare sometimes like, is this me? Like, this is really my body. But I don't have that same feeling when I'm clothed. Like, I feel like myself just with a belly. It's strange. It's a really strange thing, but that's just me, I don't know, it's weird. So in my first trimester, I didn't have any type of energy. I didn't want to do anything. I will say that has only changed a little bit. I definitely had more energy than I did before. Like, when I was in my first trimester, I literally would be so incredibly exhausted And I think that that also had to do with the depression that I was like kind of going through. That plus the added fatigue and everything, it made for a dangerous combination. I wasn't feeling too hot. But my second trimester, I did get almost a boost of energy. I think that's because of the depression kind of tailored off, and then also just my body just began to kind of got used to being pregnant. So because of that, I will say my energy did pick up slightly, but it wasn't anything that was like super drastic. Like, I know some women in their second trimester, they have all this energy to do all these crazy things, and they're like, oh, I feel amazing. And it's like, I mean, I feel good, don't get me wrong. I definitely feel better, but like as far as all this energy, I don't know. And for me personally, I think I can attribute that to me and my anemia. So with this pregnancy, I actually developed a slight anemia. So I am now anemic, and I've never been anemic before. And apparently that causes fatigue. So that kind of made sense to me as far as like my energy levels. Now, so in the beginning of my second trimester, while I was at work, I passed out and threw up. It was real dramatic. Had to get the ambulance rushed there because I was just kind of freaked out, didn't know what was going on. So I went to the hospital. At the time I went to the hospital, my blood sugar had dropped really low because I had obviously threw up on my food, and it had been some time passed, and so my blood sugar was really low. So they gave me some crackers and some juice, and then they test everything was good, like everything was fine, but basically they did realize that I was a little bit anemic, and they thought that it would kind of just fix itself. It didn't. It ended up getting a little bit worse. Had another little episode, and so then I was actually put on iron supplements so that I can get that iron back up and hopefully kind of even my levels out. Wait, that don't make sense. Even my levels out. So I can even my levels. I don't even know. That is so stupid. Okay. So to wrap up everything, second trimester, pretty good. I give it an 8 out of 10. I felt pretty good overall. Of course, I dealt with, the physical aspect, aches and pains and things like that, but it's nothing that is really unexpected. I mean, I'm pregnant, carrying a whole child, my body is changing. Those things are to be expected. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that really concerned me, and I'm still having a pretty healthy pregnancy overall. Considering my mental and emotional did a 180 for my first trimester, I'm good. I don't have too many complaints about it. Like I said, the things that I dealt with are pretty standard, pretty normal, and I still have a pretty healthy pregnancy. So I really enjoyed my second trimester overall, and I feel pretty good. Now, with all that being said, I'm currently in my third trimester, so I'm gonna kind of let my feet get a little bit more wet with this third trimester before I give you a third trimester wrap-up video. But I can tell you right now, completely different than the second. Not necessarily saying it's bad, but you'll just have to tune in next time to see exactly what goes on in the third trimester. So with all that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you like this video and you want to see others like it, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, and please make sure you guys follow me on Instagram. I give so many day-to-day updates, and I do a lot of crowd surfing things on there to bring to YouTube, so you gotta fully connect with me to really know me. But that's all for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.